The autumn leaves swirled like forgotten memories around the old woman's feet as she stood in the heart of Central Park, her frail hands clutching a worn wooden cane. Her voice, cracked yet piercing, cut through the chatter of joggers and tourists like a knife through silk, singing words that no one expected from such a fragile figure. In an instant, the bustling crowd halted, faces paling as if they'd witnessed a ghost rising from the earth, their smartphones forgotten mid-scroll, hearts pounding with a shock that rippled outward like a stone dropped in still water. Eleanor Hayes had always been invisible in the city that never slept. At 87, she blended into the benches like the pigeons that pecked at crumbs nearby. But on this crisp October afternoon, something shifted inside Harrod Dam, breaking after decades of silence. She closed her eyes, drew a breath that tasted of regret and rain, and let the melody pour out. It was an old folk tune, one she'd learned as a child in the dusty fields of rural Georgia, but the lyrics she wove in were her own, raw and unfiltered, speaking of love lost in the fires of war and secrets buried deeper than bones. The first to stop was a young mother pushing a stroller, her baby cooing softly until the song's weight silenced even that innocent sound. Then a businessman in a sharp suit, earbuds yanked out, his coffee spilling unnoticed onto the path. Joggers slowed to a walk, then stand still, their breaths syncing with the rhythm of Eleanor's voice. "Oh, the rivers run red with the blood of the brave," she sang, her tone quivering with the pain of yesteryears. "And the mothers weep silent for sons in the grave." The words hung in the air, evoking images of battlefields long forgotten by the TikTok generation surrounding her. Whispers began to stir as the shock settled in. Is that about World War II?" murmured a college student to his friend, his backpack slipping from his shoulder. But Eleanor paid no mind. She was lost in the trance of her own history. Born in 1938, she'd seen the world tear itself apart twice over, first as a child hiding from air raid sirens, then as a young woman sending her sweetheart off to Vietnam, never to return whole. The song wasn't just notes. It was her soul laid bare, a testament to resilience amid ruin. As the crowd grew, swelling to dozens, then hundreds, drawn by the magnetic pull of her vulnerability, Eleanor felt a surge of something she hadn't known in years: purpose. Her voice gained strength, the cracks filling with the fire of untold stories. She sang of the day her father returned from the Pacific, a shell of the man who'd left, his medals pinned to a chest that heaved with nightmares. He whispered of islands where brothers fell fast, she crooned, and the sea claimed their echoes, the war's cruel repast. Tears welled in the eyes of an elderly veteran nearby, his cap emblazoned with faded insignia, as he nodded in silent recognition. But it wasn't just the elders who felt the pull. A teenage girl, scrolling through her feed moments before, now stood transfixed, her pierced nose twitching as she fought back sobs. The song spoke to her own hidden pains, the divorce ripping her family apart, the loneliness of a digital world that promised connection but delivered isolation. Eleanor's words bridged generations, reminding them that suffering was universal, a thread weaving through humanity's tapestry. The park's usual symphony, the honk of taxis beyond the trees, the laughter of children on swings faded into oblivion. All that remained was Eleanor's voice, rising and falling like the tides of time. She transitioned into a verse about her own lost love, Thomas, who had promised forever under a Georgia peach tree before shipping out. "He danced me round fireflies on warm summer nights," she sang, her eyes fluttering open to meet the gaze of a young couple holding hands nearby. "But the jungle took his light, left me in endless fights." Shock turned to awe as phones began recording, not for mockery, but for preservation. Viral fame was the last thing on Eleanor's mind. She sang for catharsis, for the ghosts that haunted her quiet apartment nights. Yet, in this moment, she unwittingly became a beacon, illuminating the forgotten corners of collective memory. As the song built to its crescendo, a hush deeper than silence enveloped the crowd. Eleanor's final notes lingered, echoing off the skyscrapers that loomed like indifferent giants. When she finished, no one clapped at first. They were too stunned, too moved. Then, slowly, applause erupted, tentative at first, then thunderous, mingled with sniffles and cheers. Eleanor blinked, as if waking from a dream, her cane trembling in her grip. She hadn't planned this. A simple walk to feed the ducks had turned into a revelation. But as strangers approached, sharing their own story, Asa, granddaughter of Holocaust survivors, a refugee from recent conflicts, the weight on her heart lightened. Humanity, she realized, thrived not in grand gestures, but in these shared vulnerabilities. Yet, beneath the surface, Eleanor harbored a deeper secret, one that would soon unravel everything. The song wasn't just memoir. It was a confession, laced with clues to a mystery she'd buried for 50 years. As the crowd dispersed, whispering about the singing grandma, none knew that her words held the key to a long-lost treasurer of forgotten crime. In the days that followed, the video exploded online, garnering millions of views. Eleanor became an overnight sensation, dubbed the Park Nightingale by eager journalists. But fame brought complications. Reporters camped outside her modest brownstone, microphones thrust forward like weapons. "What inspired this song, Mrs. Hayes?" they'd ask, eyes hungry for sound bites. She'd smile faintly, waving them off with a hand gnarled by arthritis. "Just an old woman's ramblings," she'd say, but her eyes betrayed the turmoil within. The truth was, the song was born from a letter she'd received that morning, a yellowed envelope from an anonymous sender, stirring memories she'd locked away. Flashbacks haunted her nights. 1968, the year Thomas vanished, not in Vietnam, as she'd told everyone, but in a web of espionage and betrayal. He'd been no ordinary soldier. He was a covert operative, entangled in secrets that could topple governments. Eleanor had helped him hide documents, swearing secrecy even after his death was announced. The song's lyrics, innocuous to most, contained coded references. Rivers running red alluded to a hidden cache near the Hudson, blood of the brave to classified files that exposed corruption in high places. She'd sung it as a release, never expecting the world to listen so closely. Enter Marcus, a sharp-eyed investigative podcaster in his 30s, who stumbled upon the video while researching cold cases. Something in Eleanor's phrasing nagged at him, reminiscent of declassified CIA memos he'd pored over. He reached out via social media, his message polite but probing. "Your song moved me deeply. Would you care to share more about its origins?" Eleanor hesitated, her fingers hovering over the keyboard in her dimly lit kitchen. At her age, what did she have to lose? Yet, the risks were real. Shadowy figures from the past might still lurk. But the human connection pulled her in. Marcus's profile showed a man driven by justice, much like Thomas had been. They met at a quiet cafe near the park, the air thick with the scent of fresh pastries. Marcus, with his tousled hair and earnest eyes, leaned forward. "Mrs. Hayes, your song. It's more than just personal, isn't it? The references to islands and echoes, they align with Operation Lost Echo, a botched mission in '68. Eleanor's heart skipped. How had he pieced it together so quickly? She sipped her tea, steadying herself. "Young man, some echoes are best left in the past. But yes, Thomas was part of that. He didn't die in combat. He was silenced for what he knew." As she unfolded the tale, Marcus's recorder captured every word. Thomas had uncovered evidence of war profiteering by powerful senators, stashing proof in a safe deposit box keyed to a melody, her song. The twist: Eleanor wasn't just a grieving widow. She'd been his partner in the shadows, encoding messages in letters home. The revelation shocked Marcus, shifting his view from admirer to ally. "This could change history," he whispered, eyes wide. But Eleanor cautioned, "It could also destroy lives, including mine." Their alliance formed tentatively, bound by the song's lingering notes. As they delved deeper, threats emerged, a cryptic phone call warning Eleanor to stay silent, a shadowed figure tailing Marcus. The kitsch tin mounted, human values clashing, truth versus safety, legacy versus peace. Eleanor's voice, once a solitary cry, now echoed in podcasts and news segments, inspiring others to share their buried truths. A young veteran, inspired by her, confessed his own PTSD struggles online, sparking a wave of support. The song's power lay not in its shock value, but in its ability to heal fractures in the human spirit. Yet, as they neared the hidden cache, a twist loomed. An unexpected ally from Eleanor's past, a former colleague of Thomas's, emerged from obscurity, offering help but harboring motives of his own. To be continued. The alliance between Eleanor and Marcus deepened as autumn leaves gave way to winter's chill, their meetings shrouded in secrecy amid the city's festive lights. Eleanor, bundled in her wool coat, shared fragments of her life that painted a fuller picture of the woman behind the song. She'd been no passive bystander. As a codebreaker during the war, her sharp mind had cracked enemy ciphers, saving countless lives. Thomas had fallen for her intellect first, their love blooming in hushed wartime offices. Marcus, in turn, revealed his own scars of father lost to the Gulf War, fueling his quest for uncovered truths. Your song, he admitted one evening over steaming cocoa. It feels like a bridge to him. Like maybe the past isn't as lost as I thought. Their bond transcended generations, a testament to how shared pain could forge unbreakable ties. As they deciphered the song's clues, piecing together coordinates hidden in rhymes, danger escalated. A break-in at Eleanor's apartment left her rattled, drawers rifled, but nothing taken a warning. "They're close," she murmured, clutching a faded photo of Thomas. Marcus urged her to go public, but Eleanor resisted. "Not yet. Truth without care is a weapon that wounds indiscriminately." Enter the twist. Lila, a vibrant 60-something woman with fiery red hair and a no-nonsense demeanor, who appeared unannounced at their next rendezvous. "Eleanor Hayes, I've been searching for you since that video went viral." Lila claimed to be Thomas's sister, long estranged, but her story held inconsistencies, eyes that darted too quickly, hands fidgeting with a locket identical to one Eleanor had given Thomas. Skeptical, Eleanor probed. "Thomas never mentioned a sister." Lila's response was swift. "He wouldn't have. Our family was fractured by the war. But I have proof, sent me letters with the same codes." She produced yellowed pages, the handwriting unmistakably Thomas's. The revelation shocked Eleanor, reshaping her memories. Had Thomas hidden a sibling from her? Or was Lila an imposter, sent to derail them? Marcus ran background checks discreetly, uncovering Lila's ties to a shadowy lobbying firm with roots in the very corruption Thomas had exposed. Yet, Lila's emotions seemed genuine, tears as she recounted childhood tales that aligned with Thomas's stories. This auxiliary character twisted the narrative, forcing Eleanor to confront jealousy and doubt. "If you're truly family," Eleanor challenged, "help us find what he left behind." Reluctantly, Lila joined, her knowledge of old CIA protocols proving invaluable. Together, they navigated the underbelly of New York abandoned warehouses and forgotten archives, each step heightening the drama. Eleanor's song played on loops in Marcus's mind, its lyrics now a map. Rivers run red, pointing to the Red Hook docks, blood of the brave, to a vault beneath a veteran's memorial. One stormy night, as rain lashed the windows of Marcus's loft, Lila confessed her true motive. "I'm not his sister," she admitted, voice breaking. "I was his asset in the field, a fellow operative. Thomas saved my life, and I owe him this." The shock rippled through the room. Lila had been in love with Thomas too, an unrequited flame that burned for decades. Her arrival wasn't sabotage but redemption, adding layers of emotional complexity. Eleanor's heart ached with this new truth, yet she extended forgiveness. "We all carry pieces of him," she said softly, embracing Lila. This twist humanized the pursuit, emphasizing that love's echoes could heal even the deepest wounds. As they closed in on the cache, public interest peaked. Eleanor's song inspired flash mobs in parks nationwide, elders and youth uniting in harmony. A viral challenge encouraged sharing personal histories, fostering empathy in a divided world. The narrative's core value shone. In vulnerability lay strength, in shock, awakening. But peril loomed larger. Anonymous threats turned physical, a car nearly running Marcus off the road. Eleanor's resolve hardened. At her age, legacy mattered more than longevity. "If we stop now," she told her companions, "the song dies with me." Their journey culminated at the memorial, under cover of darkness. Digging beneath a plaque honoring the fallen, they unearthed a rusted box. Inside, documents yellowed by time, exposing bribes and cover-ups that implicated living politicians. The weight of history pressed upon them, a Pandora's box of justice. As sirens wailed in the distance, alerted by unseen watchers, the trio fled, hearts pounding with triumph and terror. Eleanor's song, once a solitary lament, had ignited a firestorm of change. To be continued. With the documents in hand, Eleanor, Marcus, and Lila retreated to a safe house on the city's outskirts, a quaint cabin lent by one of Marcus's contacts. The air was thick with anticipation as they pored over the papers under dim lamplight, the revelations unfolding like petals of a long-dormant flower. Names of senators, corporations profiting from endless wars. It was a blueprint of greed that had cost countless lives, including Thomas's. Eleanor's fingers traced the faded ink, tears blurring her vision. "He died for this," she whispered, the emotion raw in her throat. Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice steady. "And we'll make sure it wasn't in vain." Lila, ever pragmatic, scanned for digital copies, her past as an operative shining through. "We leaked this carefully anonymous drops to trusted journalists. One wrong move, and we're ghosts." The drama intensified as pursuers closed in. A news alert buzzed on Marcus's phone. Park Nightingale targeted, elderly singer's home vandalized. The media frenzy had turned dangerous, with conspiracy theorists twisting Eleanor's song into wild narratives. Yet, amid the chaos, heartwarming stories emerged, veterans forming support groups inspired by her, families reconciling over shared histories. Eleanor's reflections deepened the human element. She recalled her post-war life, raising a daughter alone, working as a librarian to bury her secrets in books. "I thought silence was strength," she confided to Lila one dawn. "But your song proved otherwise," Lila replied, their bond strengthening. This auxiliary twist Lila's unrequited love added poignant layers, highlighting how love's remnants could fuel redemption. As they planned the leak, a secondary shock arrived. Eleanor's granddaughter, Sophie, a 25-year-old activist unaware of her grandmother's past, showed up uninvited. "Gran, what's going on?" "The news is everywhere." Sophie's arrival, prompted by concern, forced Eleanor to confront generational gaps. Sophie, with her tattoos and fiery passion for social justice, represented the future Eleanor had fought for. Revealing the truth to Sophie was agonizing. "Your grandfather wasn't just a soldier," Eleanor began, voice trembling. Sophie's eyes widened as the story poured out: the espionage, the song's code, the buried evidence. "Why hide this from me?" Sophie asked, hurt mingling with awe. "To protect you," Eleanor replied. "But protection can become a cage." Sophie joined the fold, her tech-savvy skills accelerating the plan. She digitized the documents, encrypting them for secure distribution. The group's dynamic shifted, 4 generations united by one man's legacy. Laughter mingled with tension, Sophie teaching Eleanor memes, Marcus bonding with Lila over old spy tales, humanizing the high-stakes pursuit. But betrayal lurked. Lila received a call from an old contact, offering a deal: hand over the files for immunity. Tempted by years of running, she wavered, confessing to Eleanor, "I could finally rest." Eleanor's response was firm yet compassionate. "Rest comes from doing right, not running." Lila chose loyalty, the decision reinforcing themes of integrity over fear. The leak went live on a whistleblower's site, documents flooding the internet. Shockwaves hit, stocks plummeted, investigations launched, politicians scrambling. Eleanor's song trended anew, lyrics dissected for clues, her voice a symbol of unsung heroes. In the aftermath, as authorities closed in for protection rather than persecution, Eleanor stood in the park once more. The crowd gathered, not in shock, but in solidarity. She sang again, this time with Sophie harmonizing, their voices blending past and future. The experience transformed them all. Marcus found closure for his father's loss, launching a podcast on hidden histories. Lila embraced openness, reconnecting with estranged kin. Sophie channeled her activism into veterans' rights. And Eleanor? She discovered that at any age, one could rewrite their story. Yet, as peace settled, a final envelope arrived anonymous, hinting at more secrets. Thomas's work wasn't done, echoes lingered. To be continued. The world awoke to the scandal's full fury, headlines screaming of corruption unearthed by an octogenarian's melody. Eleanor Hayes, once invisible, now graced magazine covers, her wrinkled face an emblem of quiet defiance. But fame's glare brought isolation. Friends distanced themselves, fearing backlash, while strangers flooded her inbox with both adoration and vitriol. In the safe house, now a temporary home, Eleanor grappled with the fallout. Did I do right? She pondered aloud, staring at the snow-blanketed woods outside. Marcus reassured her. You gave voice to the voiceless. That's humanity at its core. Their conversations delved deep, exploring how one act of courage could ripple into societal change, emphasizing values like empathy and accountability. Sophie's presence injected youthful energy, organizing press conferences via Zoom to control the narrative. Gran, you're a hero, she'd say, hugging her tightly. But Eleanor demurred. Heroes are made in moments. Humans endure the aftermath. Lila, drawing from her shadowed past, taught them evasion tactics, her stories adding grit to the emotional tapestry. A poignant twist emerged when an unexpected visitor knocked. Senator Harlan Reid, one of the implicated figure's sons, now a reformer in his own right. Tall and silver-haired, he arrived not with lawyers, but apologies. My father profited from pain, he admitted, eyes downcast. Your song. It shamed me into action. I'm testifying against the remnants. This auxiliary character shifted perspectives, humanizing the enemy. Harlan shared his upbringing in luxury built on lies, his internal conflict mirroring Eleanor's secrets. We all carry burdens, Eleanor told him, offering tea. Their dialogue bridged divides, illustrating that redemption was possible, even for those complicit by blood. As investigations ramped up, the group faced trials literal and figurative. Eleanor testified before Congress, her voice steady as she recounted Thomas's sacrifice. The chamber fell silent, much like the park crowd, shock yielding to respect. Sophie's viral op-eds amplified the message, urging youth to honor elders' wisdom. Personal growth flourished. Marcus proposed to his longtime girlfriend, inspired by Eleanor's enduring love. Lila mentored Sophie in cryptography, passing the torch. And Eleanor? She penned a memoir, weaving her song's lyrics throughout, a cathartic release. But closure eluded as the anonymous envelope's contents revealed a network still active, threatening new wars for profit. It's not over, Eleanor declared, resolve igniting. The team reformed, vowing to continue the fight. In a full-circle moment, Eleanor returned to the park on a spring day, the crowd now cheering her name. She sang not of pain, but hope. From ashes we rise, in unity's light. The shock of her first performance had evolved into inspiration, proving that one voice could echo eternally. As seasons turned, Eleanor's legacy endured a reminder that age held no barrier to impact, that human connections transcended time. Her song, once a shock, became an anthem for the ages. To be continued.